Welcome to A Guide to Every Deck in EDH. Today we're looking at Jaya Ballard Task Mage. So Jaya Ballard is a 3-mana mono-red commander, the 2/2, and it has 3 abilities, all of which require a mana payment, tapping, and discarding a card. So the first is red tap, discard a card, destroy target blue permanent, so half of Red Blast. Then there's 1 red tap, discard a card. This deals 3 damage to any target, the creature can't be regenerated. And 7 tap, discard. This deals 6 damage to each creature and each player. So that includes you, your creatures, and Jaya herself, so she will kill herself with this ability. So blowing up blue permanents is pretty good, dealing 3 damage is okay, and then the main ability that we're concerned about here is the third one that deals 6 to everything. So there's going to be a number of ways that we maximize this to our advantage and make it so that Jaya doesn't die to this ability. So to go through our cards, we've got Eldrazi Monument. This is just a way to give Jaya indestructible and all of our other creatures indestructible so that this ability doesn't kill them. Then we've got Repercussion. Whenever a creature is dealt damage, Repercussion deals that much damage to the creature's controller. So as long as our opponents have a bunch of creatures and we don't have that many, Repercussion is going to 6 to every opposing creature, and then it's 6 per those creatures to their controllers. We also have Sulfim. If a source would deal non-combat damage to an opponent or a permanent an opponent controls, it deals double that. So this deals 12 to all opposing creatures and 12 to all of the opposing players as well. These abilities also all involve discarding cards, so we're going to want ways of mitigating the negatives on those. So we've got cards like Conspiracy Theorist and Inti. There's also Faithless Looting to churn through cards, Ready, which can get back artifacts, including Eldrazi Monument, obviously. Then we've got our card draw. So we are doing some welder stuff with Ready in this deck. So we've got things like Kaimil and Mind's Eye, Sandstone Oracle, Mystic Forge. Then Sword of Fire and Ice and Sword of Forge and Frontier are in here because these are equipment that grant protection from red, which means that when we activate Jaya's ability, she deals 6 to herself, but that damage is prevented as a result of being equipped with the sword. Similar to Conspiracy Theorist, we also have access to Bag of Holding and Containment Construct. Now, another little thing that we're doing here is we've got Spine of Ishsaw, which we can keep welding over and over to keep blowing things up. We also have the Dualcaster Mage Molten Duplication combo, and then finally Painter's Servant, which is in this deck, because if we name blue, that means that Jaya's Destroy a Blue Permanent can now target anything and destroy any permanent regardless of what it is. And since Painter's Servant is in the deck already and we're doing welder stuff, we can just include Grindstone in the deck, and then Painter Grindstone can be another way to win. And we've got some red counter spells and Jessica's Will. A little bit of haste for Jaya, including protection with Lightning Greaves. Our land base is pretty straightforward, with Inventor's Fair to go grab artifacts. Basilisk Collar is relevant in that we can give Jaya Lifelink and Death Touch, so if any creature was actually big enough to survive Jaya's burn, it will just die anyway, and the Lifelink means that we gain 6 per every single creature and player that we're hitting, so we're gaining a minimum of 18, or 24 rather when you include yourself if we're in a pot of 4, plus an additional 6 for every creature that we're dealing damage to, including Jaya. We've got some protection for Jaya, including indestructibility via Mithril Coat, then a bunch of artifact ramp, obviously. Scuttlemutt is also in here as a ramp spell that can turn things into a different color, so again, this synergizes well with Jaya's Red Blast ability. Then we've got our welders, as previously mentioned, so aside from Ready, we've got Goblin Engineer, Goblin Welder, and Trash for Treasure. Some removal spells. Then we're in mono red, so these stacks cards are easy enough to play. Blood Moon, especially effective. Portal of Phyrexia is a big artifact that we can weld back. Then we've got a number of tutors. Similar to the color changing things that I mentioned before, we also have Distorting Lens to turn a permanent into a different color. So we can turn a permanent into a blue permanent, and then Jaya can destroy it. We've got Squee Goblin Nabob. This is in here to mitigate Jaya's discard effect. So we can discard Squee, and then on upkeep, we get Squee back. So we always have a card to discard. Doesn't cost us anything. And then a number of untap effects in case we want to use Jaya multiple times. So Patriarch's Seal, Sting the Glinting Dagger, and Thousand Year Elixir, as well as Unwinding Clock to untap all of our mono rocks. And so the end game is either to just keep burning opponents out via Jaya and any combination of her plus Repercussion or Sulfim, or assemble the combos of either Dualcaster plus Molten Duplication or Grindstone Painter's Servant. And so with that said, that is going to do it for Jaya Ballard Task Mage in EDH.